nightmare to others! Lord! Oh, Jesus Christ!
But I will give you a message. The message of death!
Game over!
Make no attempt to capture them. They are to be exterminated.
Mrs. Beale, we're needed.
Matron, take them away! You are doomed, Doctor. Doomed!
Well, hello there, and welcome to part 2 of our Doctor Who themed Christmas special here on We Need to Talk About. I am the Big Daddy D, David Mabley, and once again I'm joined by the man that gets my etheric beam locators tingling. It's Luke Murphy. Look, I think I can see the off switch.
Last time you were with us, we watched the terrible cringeworthy Dimensions in Time, which seemed like it might have ended the beloved sci-fi series for good. But fortunately, another charity special came out a few years later that is actually really well regarded by the fans.
Even though Dimensions in Time appeared to confirm what James Arnold Baker, the head of BBC Enterprises, had said at the time, that Doctor Who was a show that had had its day, something unexpected happened in the year 1996.
Doctor Who reappeared for a single evening with the television movie, allowing us to embark on a thrilling journey through time and space alongside the renowned Time Lord, simultaneously with everyone else. Afterward, we were eagerly anticipating the next adventure, yet, just as swiftly as he had re-emerged, he vanished again.
Now, we are going to need a completely separate episode just to even scratch the surface of what occurred during Paul McGann's tenure as the 8th Doctor. The TV movie was broadcast in the UK on the 27th of May 1996, where it drew an impressive audience of 9 million viewers, reaching the highest ratings Doctor Who had seen since the airing of Time Flight Episode 1 in 1982.
And let's be honest, Time Flight was absolutely terrible.
Considering that by this point many viewers had access to hundreds of different satellite TV channels, such substantial audience ought to have guaranteed another film or even a new television series. I say ought to have because this number does not reflect the target audience for the Doctor Who TV movie. This was essentially an American co-production, with the majority of its $5 million budget financed by 20th Century Fox and Universal Pictures, so therefore the UK audience figures were not going to be the deciding factor here.
What was essential was achieving some strong North American viewership numbers to justify any consideration of reviving the show as a full TV series. Now, unfortunately, Doctor Who would encounter significant competition from the popular television sitcom Roseanne.
On the evening of the 14th of May 1996, when the TV movie aired in the US, it was up against the highly anticipated follow-up to Roseanne's dramatic cliffhanger episode, The Wedding, where her beloved husband Dan, portrayed by John Goodman, suffered a heart attack. Not since the famous Who Shot JR episode in Dallas had so many Americans been glued to their television screens in anticipation. This did not bode well for our intrepid Time Lord. The ratings were clear. Roseanne drew an impressive 21 million viewers, whilst Doctor Who attracted only 5 million. Coincidentally, Fox decided to halt any potential plans for a new series. The major revitalisation of the show, which the few remaining supporters at the BBC had hoped for, was effectively over. It appeared that the sci-fi series was destined to remain off the air indefinitely.
We love you! Give us a cuddle!
By 1999, the television movie had largely faded from public memory. Regular episodes of the show hadn't been made for a decade, yet references to its iconic characters continued to pop up in various programs and advertisements, indicating that the show was still warmly remembered.
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
Peace and love!
Due to this nostalgia, and perhaps due to the desire of washing out the foul taste of Dimensions in Time, the Doctor Who fandom was treated to a special return of the series for one night only. This event, once again intended for fundraising, marked a much better blend of charity and celebration, when Comic Relief produced a special 23-minute live-action episode to be aired during their 1999 telethon.
The role of producer for Comic Relief that year was assigned to Sue Virtue, who already had extensive experience with comedy successes such as Mr. Bean and The Vicar of Dibley. A long-standing tradition of Comic Relief involves parodying well-known television shows, where famous personalities join forces with big stars to raise funds for both local and global charities. For 1999, Virtue had a clear idea of which classic show would be perfect for the occasion, and she also knew the ideal person to write the script for this special.
The person in question was someone who would go on to become very well known in Doctor Who, especially as part of the revived series. The person in question was none other than her husband, Steven Moffat. Moffat had established his reputation by writing the renowned children's television show Press Gang in the 80s, and had since gone on to build a successful career with several sitcoms. He also just happened to be an enormous fan of Doctor Who.
Funny that, isn't it? The children who had spent their Saturdays watching the beloved Time Lord were now adults working at the same broadcasting corporation that had provided their youthful entertainment. This shift in dynamics, evidenced by Moffat's commission to write the Comic Relief special and several new adventures novels authored by the likes of Russell T Davies and Mark Gatiss, indicated that the inmates were gradually taking over the asylum.
With Rowan Atkinson as the Ninth Doctor and Jonathan Pryce in wonderfully scenery-chewing form as the Master, The Curse of Fatal Death is a perfect example of how to do an affectionate parody. Again, no official DVD Blu-ray release of this special so far, for the same reasons we mentioned previously, but that still hasn't stopped fans from creating bootleg versions, and a few clips of the special can be seen on the Comic Relief 25 Months to Years DVD, including a making-of documentary which is well worth watching.
It's brilliant.
Again, that's all on YouTube as well.
It's brilliant.
You are doomed, Doctor. Doomed! You are piloting your TARDIS into a deadly trap, and even you will not suspect until it's far too late.
You know, if you're going to spy on me, you really should turn the speaker off.
My dear Doctor, after our many centuries of conflict, naturally I wished you to know that your certain death is now certain.
Alongside the parodic comedy, Moffat manages to work in a plethora of Easter eggs, in-jokes and fan service without the result of making the special feel bloated or alienating of the wider audience.
When you told me to meet you at Castle Tercerus, I simply traveled back in time 100 years. And I bribed the architect. Say hello to the spikes of doom.
There's the convoluted time travel shenanigans that Moffat would later develop in his own proper series.
Say hello to the sofa of reasonable comfort. Naturally, I anticipated your journey back in time, and so I travelled slightly further back and bribed the architect first.
We also got Daleks with proper voices this time, unlike the vastly different sounding ones that we got in the TV movie. And yes, one of these things is definitely not like the other.
They paid $20,000 to Terry Nation's estate so they could use the Daleks, and then didn't have them on screen.
I know.
And didn't bother to check what the sound would like.
No. But saying that though, there is previous in that, because when the Daleks came back in the early 1970s for John Pertwee in Day of the Daleks, prior to that story, the last been seen in The Evil of the Daleks in '67, no one could remember what the actual Dalek sounded like. So the actual,
and I bet the episode had been chucked as well.
So the vast majority of it. So the Dalek voices in Day of the Daleks are vastly different to what we usually get, and in actual fact, they actually fixed that. They fixed that during when they released the story on DVD.
Whoever is operating the time machine is an enemy of the Daleks. All
Whoever is operating the time machine is an enemy of the Daleks.
Well, as bad as they were originally, at least they're not as bad as the ones in the TV movie where they sound more like Marvin the Paranoid Android from Hitchhiker's Guide to the
I thought
Galaxy.
get the whole. It's really kind of like high pitch. It's not a Dalek voice, but yeah, they do have previous about getting things wrong. So yes.
So the special also had several pieces of authentic music from the classic era.
I did not come alone.
And no less than 4, yes, count them, Luke, 4 regenerations. The Doctor's subsequent incarnations in this special were played by a plethora of big names that were long rumoured for the role, including Richard E. Grant.
Oh, sorry about that. I thought I'd just slip into something more comfortable. Result, cute, sexy, and lick the mirror handsome.
Jim Broadbent.
Oh, bugger.
Doctor?
Ah! You're my fiancé, aren't you? Oh dear. Seem to be a bit shy of girls now. One of the problems of changing personas. So unpredictable.
Hugh Grant.
Oh dear, now look at that. I've gone and used up 3 whole bodies in just under a minute, and all because I forgot to unplug first. That really was terribly silly of me.
And most significantly, the Doctor's final regeneration is into that of Joanna Lumley, who had repeatedly been put forward as long ago as the early 1980s when a potential female incarnation was hotly discussed in the tabloids.
Emma, look. I've got etheric beam locators.
No, Doctor. I'm afraid those are actual breasts.
Are you sure? I think I can see the on switch.
No, Doctor, we have to face facts. You've come back to life, and this time, you're a woman.
Thanks to countless fans donating their homemade props, there's an authenticity and a reasonably high production value that surpasses dimensions in time. Now, while the Curse of the Fatal Death can be quite silly and exaggerated at times, it never disrespects the original material, and its love for what made the show great is evident in every scene. For the first time since probably the 1970s, the general public could laugh with the programme instead of at it.
And again, from the making of documentary on the Comic Relief DVD, they clearly had a lot of fun whilst making it. It was filmed in 3 days, and yeah, they clearly had a lot of fun. Jonathan Pryce in particular just seems to be absolutely hamming it up, even when the cameras aren't rolling. And that sense of fun really comes through the camera in the finished production. And I might just show some clips of this.
I think we just need to show some clips of it because it is brilliant. It is done really, really well. It's done affectionately. It's a lot of humour. I mean, you can't not do it with a lot of humour considering who was in it.
Never be safe to be scared again. Who are we going to call now?
Well, my agent, because you cut my life.
Oh, bollocks!
And strangely enough as well, Jonathan Pryce's acting aside, which is, and let's be honest, more ham than the deli counter at Morrison's, everybody takes it really, really seriously. If you actually properly look at it, they're playing it straight. Rowan Atkinson's playing it straight. Jim Broadbent, when he comes on, he plays it straight. Richard E. Grant plays it straight. Hugh Grant, this was 1999, so Hugh Grant was at the height of his initial height of fame and what have you. And Hugh Grant's doing comic relief, so I'll just come and play the Doctor for a quick 5 minutes. And in that quick 5 minutes, you're thinking, yeah, I could see him doing this. This is good.
Won't be the first time because he were in comic relief the previous year and basically said if we get to this time within the next hour, Hugh Grant will snog Dawn French. And Dawn French did the thing where she came out wearing a
kind of like his early, yeah.
£1 million.
Yes, I know.
Close your eyes, lie back and think of England, for God's sake.
And Richard E. Grant goes on to appear in regular Doctor Who. He was the Great Intelligence.
Yes.
And he was the Schalke
He's the Schalke Doctor. Yeah, that was 2003, so that was the 40th anniversary. So the 40th anniversary was commemorated by a story called Scream of the Schalke, which was on the old BBC I website. And up until that point, that was official. He was officially the Ninth Doctor.
Until Christopher
Eccleston came through. So Richard E. Grant was officially the Ninth Doctor. It was kind of like a different setup and what have you. And again, he was really, really good at it. It's now nicely out of the way. Or it would have been if it wasn't for what Russell T Davies did in the episode Rogue, where Hang on. That's Richard E. Grant.
Richard E. Grant.
Right, so the Schalke Doctor exists now, which is an entirely new kettle of fish that's just been opened.
There are several incarnations of the Ninth Doctor.
Yes.
Rowan Atkinson's Ninth Fatal Death Doctor cameos in the Doctor Who novel The Tomorrow Windows. Whilst in another novel, The Gallifrey Chronicles, there's a passing reference to the Doctor having 3 different versions of his ninth incarnation, which suggests that aside then from Christopher Eccleston, there's also Rowan Atkinson and Richard E. Grant. So,
technically speaking, Nicholas, voice of the Daleks, Briggs, was the Ninth Doctor for a time Big.
No.
Before it was Big Fish. It was in Doctor Who magazine.
Yes.
Because he used to do sort of fan productions and what have you, the audio-visual adventures, and he played the Doctor. And then they brought that into the comic strip. It was a bait and switch. It was a fake out and what have you. But for around about 6 months of Doctor Who magazine, the Doctor looked like Nicholas Briggs.
Yeah.
And he was superb. It was brilliant. Because everybody's thinking, no, when you're reading that, and then you're thinking, hang on, oh my God, they're regenerating Paul McGann's Doctor. And have they got permission for this? Is that Nick Briggs?
So,
yeah.
So between that and Curse of Fatal Death, the multiple Ninth Doctor thing might actually be canon. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
I know, and it's just
And thankfully, our favourite time travelling hero would eventually return to our television screens full time in 2005, but that really is a story for another time.
I'm the Doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose. Run for your life.
And with that, as we close the chapter on this whimsical 2-part adventure, it seems only fitting to honour the legacy of our favourite Time Lord by continuing the discussion down at the pub with a pint or two.
Sounds wonderful. What would you like me to cook?
And hopefully producer Josh will actually show up at some point, because I've got a Christmas present for him as well.
Well, I don't think he will do. Veal alla masala. Oh, mushroom risotto, peppery chicken.
You happy with that?
I am massively happy with this.
Pleased.
I am massively happy with this.
Right, we'll see you in a bit.
Pub. Right, pub.
Off we go.
Tell me, why do they call you the Master?
I'll explain later.
Two charity specials, one of which...
I'm not feeling charitable.
Yeah, one of which basically confirmed, this is exactly the reason why this show got cancelled. And the other one was like, oh, do you know what? This could work in the modern audience. We'd like to see this come back. And there's a lot of Moffat-isms as well. There's a lot of Moffat-isms. A lot of things that Steven Moffat would do in Curse of Fatal Death would bring into the actual series, like the time traveling shenanigans. Yeah. The fact that you've got the Doctor and the companion falling in love. Yeah. The Doctor wanting to retire from his inventions. The Doctor saying, I'll explain later, which he actually does in Go in the Fireplace in particular. Yeah. The Master potentially becoming a good person and also having breasts and also wandering around a Dalek sewer. Yeah.
They weren't breasts. They were Dalek bums. Okay.
They are surprisingly firm. What are you trying to say?
I literally will never get Jonathan Pryce out of my head. The renowned actor that he is, saying they're surprisingly firm.
Yeah. To Julius Sawala, who's like, what are you trying to say? They probably won't get away with doing a joke like that now, would they?
No, they wouldn't. No, it would probably get you reported.
And then Joanna Lumley stand up with like this heaving cleavage going, look, I've got authentic beam locators as well. It's like, no, those are just breasts.
No. You're not, I've never said this, but you're not the man I fell in love with. Anyway, yes, so...
It is good though, because with Rowan Atkinson, you could see him actually being the Doctor. You could see any of them being the Doctor.
Every single one of them that ended up being on there, from
Rowan Atkinson to Richard E. Grant to Jim Broadbent to
Hugh Grant, Joanna Lumley.
to Joanna Lumley. They played the Doctor. They didn't do a skit version. They played it the way that they would if they got the part.
Yeah.
And
in Richard E. Grant's case, he actually was the Doctor.
Well, he did get the part. He was the Doctor in Scream of the Shalka, which was an interesting experiment.
Yes.
And that was an anniversary special as well.
It was indeed.
That was an anniversary special.
I can't fault the performances. I mean,
no.
Even with Dimensions in Time, all the Doctors have come back.
Yes.
And they're like just picking up straight from where they left off. You know, Pertwee, Davidson, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, Kate O'Mara is brilliant as the Rani.
Kate O'Mara was always brilliant as the Rani.
That was their last turn. The only person that's a bit disappointed is Tom Baker, who basically just sat in a studio for maybe a couple of hours and wanted to be completely separate from all of it.
I think to be honest with you, at that time, Tom Baker was still in his. This is something I did.
Yeah.
This is something I did. This isn't the only thing I ever did.
Yeah.
And it's not because he's a wonderful actor. Obviously his opinion and his feelings about Doctor Who have changed in recent years, and he's doing Big Finish now more often than not at the. I think he's 80. He's 80s now.
He's certainly getting on in age. I mean, you see photos of him now, and he's like, oh, he is looking old.
Yeah.
But he still has that twinkle in his eye. The twinkle in the eye is still there.
Vocally, it's still there. All of the releases that Big Finish put out for the Fourth Doctor last year were superb.
Yeah.
They were. The stories were superb, and Tom Baker was superb, and long may it continue as he remains in very, very good health. I mean, even sort of, I think it was last year or the year before, where there was a wonderful story of the Fourth Doctor meeting the 10th Doctor.
Yes.
And it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. And
which with David Tennant was like a dream come true. I mean,
you could actually, in his vocal performance, you could actually tell.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant.
Well, now you're scared. You might have me strapped to a gurney here. Meanwhile, I'm also outside causing trouble, huh?
The other Doctor will be stopped.
I doubt it. From what I've seen, he's a very canny fellow. I'd never be reckless enough to let you catch both of me.
Excuse me. Hello. Not interrupting, am I?
I've made my feelings on Dimensions in Time known a lot.
I think that it didn't help that there was no money. There was no money at all. A lot of it was based off goodwill.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people appearing in it was based on when they were available.
Yeah.
That's why I think a lot of the Doctor companion team-ups are so smashed. I mean,
it didn't work from that point of view.
You've got Victoria with the Third Doctor, you know. You've got Mel with the Third Doctor, which doesn't match. You've got Susan with the Sixth Doctor, you know.
Which didn't make any sense whatsoever.
But a lot of it was based upon who was available at the time.
Yeah.
And they didn't have the outfits for it. I mean, Romana and Nissa basically turn up wearing normal clothes. There could very well have been characters from EastEnders for all we know.
And so, you know, the monsters that turn up as well, that doesn't make any sense either.
No,
it was basically
not a single Dalek to be seen. You know, it's
rights issue,
and there's a reason for that.
Rights issue.
Yeah, they couldn't afford the rights issues.
No, they couldn't. The idea behind it is admirable.
Yeah, the execution. Quite a different thing altogether.
And I'll tell you something, right? My biggest bugbear, right, with Dimensions in Time. Name me the list, right, of Doctor Who anniversary stories. The Three Doctors. The Five Doctors. Silver Nemesis.
Yes.
That's an anniversary story.
Yeah.
That's got its moments.
Nobody knows who the Doctor is.
Except me.
Dimensions in Time
You actually said that through gritted teeth.
That's an anniversary story.
Whether you like it or not.
As the Scream of the Schalke.
Yeah.
Day of the Doctor. The Giggle.
The Giggle, yeah. Well, that entire trilogy is...
Yeah. But strictly speaking, those are all of the anniversary stories. Dimensions in Time will always be known as an anniversary story. And that, my friends, and you are my friends, is unforgivable. So yeah, I mean, Dimensions in Time is kind of like oh well, it could have been better. And The Curse of the Fatal Death was just like showing the BBC seriously, guys. This thing is brilliant.
There's still a lot of love and affection for this show.
There's love, there's affection.
And you should bring it back.
And you should bring it back.
And it is quite fitting that Steven Moffat, of all people, is the one that helped to bring it back. And I think it's quite fitting that we are reviewing this when the Doctor Who Christmas special this year,
Joy to the World,
is a Steven Moffat story.
And possibly his last story. It's possibly Steven Moffat's last Doctor Who story.
I hope not.
I hope not.
One charity special did a lot of good. Well, actually no, both charity specials did a lot of good because they helped to raise a lot of money for charity.
Yeah.
Dimensions in Time did not do Doctor Who any favours in the long term. Curse of Fatal Death did a lot of favours to Doctor Who in the long term.
Yeah.
We have covered them both now. I think we can sort of appreciate them in different ways. Maybe Curse of Fatal Death slightly more than Dimensions in Time.
What do you mean slightly more? Yes, I agree with you on that one. Yes, he raised Dimensions in Time raised money.
Yeah, it did.
Good for you.
It did. You know, well, like we said in the sort of main part of the review, it can be compared to, rather unfavourably, to the Star Wars Holiday Special. But the difference was, Star Wars Holiday Special was an obvious cash grab.
Yeah.
Dimensions in Time actually raised a lot of money for charity.
Yes.
So for that, our opinion should be slightly tempered.
Yeah.
But that does not mean we have to accept it as canon.
Yeah. And well, technically speaking, some of the Star Wars Holiday Special is canon.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Happy
it
Life
is.
Day, everybody. And obviously, the Star Wars Holiday Special is the first time that we ever saw Boba Fett. So some of it is canon.
It is
the
canon.
rest of it is crap. Dimensions in Time is not canon and is completely crap.
I think they sort of mentioned in some stories where it's acknowledged that Dimensions in Time is based on some sort of fever dream that the Doctor has, where he hallucinates that he's in Albert Square and he keeps meeting different companions.
And here's the thing, the worst thing about it was, it's right. I am not a fan of EastEnders. I'm not a fan of any soap opera, whether it be EastEnders, Corrie, or Emmerdale. And it's like, I don't watch this programme. I've seen characters from EastEnders that I'm like, sweet Jesus.
It's a fucking depressing show, is EastEnders, isn't it?
It's always been a depressing show because it's for the Southerners. Cancellation coming up.
You gotta clear the streets! You're in terrible danger! What's your game? You gotta get away from here! Here, who says? You start shoving me around, you'll know about it.
It's no good. They're in different time zones. To them, we're the strangers.
Movie swiftly on. This is the official end of We Need to Talk About ... Series 5.
Series 5.
We are moving into 2025. Where will we begin? We need to talk about ... Series 6.
And we are currently writing a few episodes for season 6 already. You in particular are writing a review for The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires.
The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, which is a wonderful Hammer horror movie / chop-socky mix-up film from the
It's two
early
of our
90s.
favourite things in one film.
Hammer horror.
We've been talking about this ever since the Leeds Horror Film Festival.
Yes, because it's a really, really good film.
Yes.
So Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires is definitely happening in Series 6, as is The Sorcerers.
Because I've been writing that, yes.
You watched it off the back of The Witch by the General, so we're definitely going to do that.
Yes.
And
I would like to do the Doctor Who TV TV movie as well with Paul McGann at some point.
British.
Yes, I suppose I am. Jelly baby, officer.
Jelly baby?
Just take it.
What else are we going to do?
We've got lots of ideas.
That's at least 3.
We have a short list of ideas. Well, I say short list, it's more like a long list.
And to be honest with you as well, we may even get around to doing the film that my eldest son suggested that we do 6 years ago, and that is Escape to Victory.
Yeah. That might be next year's Christmas special.
Right. You've called the shot.
Yeah.
You've called the shot right now. You've called the shot right now. Christmas 2025.
Christmas
We need
special.
to talk about Escape to Victory.
Escape to Victory. And when we did Witchfinder General, I said, would the Sorcerers be next year's Halloween special?
Do that.
Yeah.
There we go. Call the shot.
So we've already got 2 episodes
calling the
confirmed.
shot right now.
Yeah.
Let the ball do the running for you. Don't try and run with it. You're in no condition to run for 90 minutes, I tell you. A set piece works in our favour, which means that as they...
Give me this. Kobe, after giving me ball, here I do these, go. Easy.
And on that bombshell, it is time for us to go.
It is.
We have
drinking to be done.
We have drinking to be done. We are here at Leeds German Christmas market, or as they call it in Germany, a market.
A market.
We are at the Ranch, which is this lovely American-themed pop-up bar. So we are going to get some German sausage inside us.
No, we're really not.
We are going to get some more beer.
That we definitely are.
And we're going to have a lovely, lovely Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we wish the same to you as well. Yes. Thank you very, very much. I know this is a cliche. Thank you very, very much for watching our stuff, for liking, for commenting, for subscribing. It really does mean the world to us. It really does.
It does.
And yeah, thank you for that. Have a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we will see you again in 2025 for season 6.
Season 6. Another year of planet Earth.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that.
Nope. Right. Take care, everyone. See you later. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
Two old souls in the neon lights, tales of beer and movie nights, bonding over the lore of Zardoz so deep, those classic films they love to keep. Kung fu flicks and sci-fi bright, rose tinted glasses in the night, tales of a hero with sword in hand, fire up the drinks my friend. Middle-aged movie boys, living out classic joys. We need to talk about nostalgia loud and bright. We're time travelers in this bar, movies old and drinks from far. Cheers to films from days gone by. Raise a glass, let's touch the sky. Spy shenanigans, smoky rooms, horror marathons, till daylight looms. Bite the apple, go into a trance. Where did you get those golden hot pants? Dave and Luke in their bunker underground, giving fist bumps and a friendship found. These men of middle age in flight, you've got the drinks